right, I'm now calling this meeting of the Board of Adjustments in order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Yeah. Would you please call roll?
Chairman Clark,
Here.
Board Member Dick,
Present.
Board Member Bonagoski, absent. Board Member Smith,
Here.
Board Member Willett.
Here.
All right, next order of business, can I have a motion and approval of the, what date was it? Sorry. April 4th, meeting minutes, thank you. Are there any changes to the minutes, I should ask? None?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that the meeting minutes of April 4th, 2023 be approved.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds.
2 seconds, double seconds.
Okay. Would you call roll, please?
Chairman Clark,
Aye.
Board Member Dick,
Present.
Board Member Smith,
Aye.
Board Member Willett.
Present.
All right.
Aye. Sorry,
Aye, present?
I was present before.
All right, I'm now going to open this public hearing for the proposed ordinance, or I'm sorry, a variance that's been requested by Home of Canyon 2 LLC, Mr. Phil Lund. Kathy, may I have a staff report?
Yes. The applicant seeks relief from complying with the 2018 IECC, which is the International Energy Conservation Code, and the 2018 IMC, which is the International Mechanical Code, the IFGC, which is the International Fuel Gas Code. As this project previously had been plan reviewed and permitted under 2006 code versions on 12/13 of 2021, construction was never commenced and the permit expired under the terms of the applicable code. The applicant desires to commence construction now and would like to obtain a building permit under the 2018 building codes with a request for a variance to use certain specifications in the 2006 IECC, IMC, and IFGC, which have already been plan reviewed. With that now, I will probably turn it over to the Homes of the Canyon 2 LLC, Mr. Lund.
Well, let me take a moment. I failed
Okay.
to do one thing I'm supposed to do. The provisions of the City Municipal Code, and in particular Title 17 thereof, the subdivision regulations and the comprehensive plan of the City of Canyon City are incorporated in the record of this hearing as if set forth verbatim. I skipped that earlier, sorry. And you sounded just like Patrick, a little different on the voice, but you did a great job.
I'll let him know that.
Okay. Next. And would you state your name and your address, please?
I will do that, Tom. My name is Phil Lund, and I live at 720 Griffin here in Canyon City. And I want to appreciate, first of all, you guys coming out on a Friday afternoon in the middle of the summer, so I appreciate that for a special meeting. So I've been involved with the Canyon Homes of the Canyon project, specifically Scholastica, since I think we purchased it in May of 2019. We worked our way through that one parcel that was there when the school was originally there. It was one parcel when we purchased the property, and we now have 18 lots. And those 18 are basically 13 on the north side, which our homes are going up now. The foundations are in, and those are progressing. And they're hoping in the next 12 months that they'll get most of those homes up and ready to go. It took a while to get the infrastructure in, et cetera. The other parcels now moving south, the historic building and the chapel building were sold to Unbridled, and Unbridled is going to tie that into Hotel St. Cloud. And so that is their plans. They also, through their not-for-profit, purchased the classroom building, and there was a centerpiece that they also own. So They purchased that, and that classroom building will be coming down here in the next 2 weeks, I believe. I'm not certain if they've got the building or the demolition permit or not, but I know that that is their intent. And they've dealt with all the asbestos issues, et cetera. So that should be coming down soon. Our focus at the time we purchased the property was to focus on the residence hall, and that was because my experience with turning buildings like that into condominiums, both occupied as well as non-occupied. And so that's been our focus. We've dealt with COVID, we dealt with supply chains disruptions and a number of other things. With as most brief thing that I can describe as possible, unfortunately my business partner became ill last summer, and it was a neurological issue, and she now unfortunately is in a wheelchair and cannot communicate. And so that was the reason that we had a stoppage of the effort that started, her process started in June of last year, and again, that's her situation at this point. And as that happened, we had to go through some legal issues with the family between, as we sorted out, it was an event that we hadn't planned for whatsoever. We had planned for death, but we hadn't planned for disability that allowed for one person not to be able to communicate. So we've worked through all that, and I am now the sole owner of the property and moving forward. During that time period, our permit, as it's interpreted, expired, and we were grandfathered in on the original position to get that done. We've spent thousands and thousands to have everything ready to go based on the old code, and it would be a great burden and a substantial challenge for us to go back and go to the new one, and we're prepared to defend why we want to do that. Lester Lamone is here, who is our architect from day one, and I'm happy to answer any business questions you might have as far as why we're here or what our plans are or where we're going. But I want Lester to deal with all the code issues, and so I'd invite, unless you have questions for me, I'd invite Lester up and he can talk about the differences, if any, between the codes as we plan on applying it.
Any questions from the commission?
Not necessarily a question for me. I know the codes have changed since 2018. As you said, the world has changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear what the differences are between the codes so that you don't have to redraw your plans, which I understand that would be thousands of dollars as well.
Yeah, and
So-
the delay in timing.
Right, yeah, delaying the time of the building because we've been working on this for quite some time. So could you point out some of the highlights as far as
Yeah,
what the
Lester's
differences
prepared
are?
to do that. So Lester, if you
Yeah.
come on up and.
And would you state your name and address too?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lester Lamone, P3 Communities. My office is located at 425 Main Street, Suite 1 here in Canyon. I'm the architect for Homes of the Canyon and for the Scholastica project. I've been working on the project since actually 2017. So I have a long and historic knowledge of the efforts for that Scholastica property. So Phil did a pretty good job of giving you the quick context on why we're standing in front of you today. The issue that an expired permit presents to us is a change in the adopted code in our ordinance. We were one of two of the last projects that were reviewed under the 2006 IBC, or the 2006 family of codes here in Canyon City. We started before the adoption to the 2018, but we were, again, grandfathered along with the other project through that adoption process, and we remained at 2006. The interpretation by the city is that since our permit expired during some of these issues that Phil outlined for you, that the ordinance has changed and now we need to comply with 2018. Through conversations with city administration and city building department, our position became one of life safety versus other pieces of the code, of the family of codes. And you gentlemen are probably well aware that there's a family of ICC codes that we comply with. We took the position that there is no substantial difference between the 2006 life safety portion of the IBC and the 2018 version of the IBC. We outlined that position. We went back to Shums Coda, which is the external code review company that we're required to process all of our drawings through on behalf of the city. You're probably also aware of that. Again, we argued the position that there was no substantial change to life safety, either in the exiting of the building or of the construction type of the building, construction size of the building, or any of the fire safety issues that we would have in either code. They concurred with that and sent a letter back about 3 or 4 weeks ago to city administration and to us that said that yes, they agree that there is no substantial difference, there is no difference really in the two codes in terms of life safety. The differences that the 2018 code would place upon us would be mostly ones that belong to the IECC, which is the International Energy Code, versus 2018 versus 2006. That is true. We acknowledge that. However, we also acknowledge the practicality, and so does administration and building department. The practicality of non-compliance in this regard would be, since if we're going to order, for example, if we're going to order mechanical equipment today from anywhere in the state of Colorado, that mechanical equipment is going to be 2018 compliant because the state is 2018 compliant. So even though our drawings say you must comply with 2006, we can't get 2006 equipment. So there are items that even though we're going to be granted a variance through this hearing, we're simply going to be compliant anyway. So from our perspective, this is an administrative change for us, but it allows us to move forward without, again, substantial changes to drawings and substantial changes to time.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions?
No.
Do you have anything, Ryan?
Just from the staff perspective, we don't oppose this variance request. We think it's reasonable. Our biggest concern is always the life safety factor, as Mr. Lamone said, and fully compliant with the 2018 code as far as life safety goes. This is a long. This project's been sorely needed for a long time. I think it's important for the neighborhood. I think it's important for the housing stock, and just overall, it's a good project. And as far as the codes go, I think they're going to have to go through some change order processes as they order that equipment, and our values for insulation and windows, those types of things. More than likely, as Mr. Lamone said, they're going to end up being 2018 compliant as it is.
Well, and I guess that was one of the points I wanted to bring up after you'd finished with that. You do understand if we grant this variance that regardless of the code that we're given a variance to, if we do that, that you will have to comply with the 2018. If you end up with 2006 stuff, it's not going to get signed off on for the.
Well, actually, no, I'll have to correct you on that. This variance will allow us, if we were even able to get 2006 equipment, would allow us to use 2006 equipment. Our variance is from those pieces that Kathy just outlined, and those are the IECC items, which are going to be mechanical and plumbing and those kinds of items. Again, the practical nature of that is we're not going to be able to get that equipment. We will, as a measure in terms of the construction process, we'll have to issue change orders because at the time that our documents were produced, our engineers would have said you need to get this type of equipment. We're going to reach out to suppliers. That equipment's not going to be available through just the general process of construction. As you might be aware, that supplier's going to have to come back and say, well, we can't get that. We're going to have to substitute this. There'll be change order documentation for that, but it's not due, the change order documentation is not due to compliance with the code. It is simply that we can't get the equipment that we described 3 years ago.
Okay, well, if I didn't say that correctly,
I'm
that's
sorry.
exactly what I meant.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I just want to add one more thing to that. We already have a general contractor that we're working with. They're out for bids with plumbers and every other thing, the mini splits, et cetera, and it's all based on 2018 as opposed to the past.
Okay, thank you.
So just
Yes,
so
sir.
I understand, you guys are already squared away for the change orders that are gonna have to take effect anyway, because you can't get the equipment that you were originally after.
Right, so yeah, that's going to be a contractual administrative change that we have to track through the
Yeah.
process, yes. And I'm sorry if I misunderstood, Chairman.
Oh, no. Sometimes I don't speak English. Okay, anything else? No? No? Anybody else? Any further discussion whatsoever? Okay, well, I now call for a motion and a second. Oh, I'm sorry, I close this public hearing, you're correct. And now, is there any other further discussion amongst us? No? No? Okay. Okay, now call for a motion and a second to recommend the approval to the city council for the ordinance. I'm sorry, the variance.
Yeah.
And it does not go to city council. Once it's
Right,
approved
we-
by this
Oh, yeah,
body,
I don't-
it
We
is
are,
approved.
we're in
What
charge
day is
here.
it? What day is it?
It's all about us.
It's Friday, you're forgiven.
You're right.
Aye.
Anyway, a motion and a second for approval of the variance.
May I make a motion, sir?
Sure you can.
I move that the Board of Adjustment adopt the two findings of fact as justification for the City of Canyon City to conduct a public hearing on the variance request, VAR 2023-002. And I can make a second motion, or I have to wait for that one? Okay, let's do a second
Can I
one.
get a second to Mr. Smith's
I
motion?
second the motion.
I have a second. Denise, oops. Cindy, would you
worries.
call roll?
Chairman Clark,
Aye.
Board Member Dick,
Aye.
Board Member Smith,
Aye.
Board Member Willett.
Okay, may I?
All right.
Are you going to make the second?
I would like to make a
Okay,
second motion.
thank you.
Because I can. I move that the Board of Adjustment approve the variance request for relief from the application of the 2018 IECC and the 2018 IMC-/IFGC to allow the owner to submit building plans for a building permit for the condominium project at 615 Pike Avenue under the 2006 IECC and the 2006 IMC/IFGC.
Good thing that's written, huh?
Wow.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you call roll, Cindy?
Chairman Clark,
Aye.
Board Member Dick,
Aye.
Board Member Smith,
Aye.
Board Member Willett.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is passed. Variance is granted.
Get it done.
Okay. I don't have any announcements other than something we talked about a little earlier briefly, was the city is changing our email, so you're going to expect a phone call from somebody in the IT department to make an appointment to set up your new email. Otherwise, you won't be able to get your messages
Is there a deadline for that?
tomorrow. No, I have no idea.
The IT department will probably be reaching out in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh,
think they want to get it done in August.
Yeah, end of July, beginning of August.
Thanks, Kathy.
all right.
Somewhere between now and then.
I'm leaving town just on account I can. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, if there's nothing else,
No, sir.
we're wrapped up for today. Adjourned.